make sure you live. Want justice for what you did. You took God's kid, you killed God's daughter. I'm speaking from a father. Sad you can't read the letter that Beyonce wrote. They was looking for smoke, now we looking for smoke. Sad you can't read the letter that Beyonce wrote. They was looking for smoke, now we looking for smoke.
Hello and welcome to a new season of Revolutionary Faith. I am your host, Reverend Alvin Herring, and this is 2022. And like the rest of you all, I am bidding farewell to 2021. It was a challenging year, tumultuous in some respects. At the end of the year, some of you may know that I was involved in a rather serious auto accident. Actually, I was on my bicycle. I was struck by a truck who plowed through a stop sign and nailed me. But I'm here today because of the grace of God and good nurses and doctors and a loving wife and loving family and great friends, new and old, who've all lifted my spirits and really account for me being here today. I'm 64 years old, and now my oldest son said, "Dad, this only adds to your legend." He says, "Now you can rightly say that even a truck can't stop you." So that's the kind of approach I'm going to take in 2022. If you were with us in 2021, you know we had some extraordinary guests, people from every walk of life, everyday folks who are doing the amazing and revolutionary work of making this world a better place, although sometimes it's hard to tell. But I'm here to tell you that the powerful stories that we heard last season, these powerful men and women who joined us, really, I think, add to my deepening of my understanding that it's everyday people like you and I who are lifting this world brick by brick, pound by pound into a better place. And it seems some days that for every brick we lift, there's 4 bricks that fall. But one of the things that I think makes us revolutionary is that we have boundless energy and a revolutionary approach that as our work is lifted unto heaven, right? God sees it, doubles it, increases it, gives us the strength and energy to keep on keeping on. So this year, 2022, we want to bring you more of those stories, more remarkable people that you and I can relate to. I've been saying here recently, and I hope that it's true, that celebrity is dead. I've never been a believer that some of us are better or more wonderful or more perfect or more special than others. I've actually been a believer my whole life that everyday people, all of us are special and wonderful in very different and fantastic ways. But that difference and that wonder shouldn't create distance between us and other people, but should bring us together. It should be what we celebrate about one another, what we acknowledge about one another. So for me to say everyday, ordinary people are making extraordinary change in the world, I mean extraordinary people, even in our ordinariness, are making this world a better place. Now, you may not always be able to feel it, but when you do feel it, please know that there's an angel somewhere laboring, oftentimes in anonymity, to do great work, motivated by their faith or a deep love for people or deep love for justice or deep love for humanity or deep love for the planet, but deep love. And that deep love is transformative. And so I pray here at the very beginning this year that deep love is transformative for you in your life, and you find yourself doing extraordinary things in the midst of what are continuing to be very trying, even chaotic times. So at this recording, COVID-19 is still raging across the world. The Omicron variant has proven to be a pretty staunch foe and has sent a lot of people to the hospital. Unfortunately, we've had more death and more pain and more suffering. And I know it may seem like the end is not in sight, but I do believe in God's promises that God's mercy will provide, even in tough times like this. On the world stage, it appears that Russia is about to invade Ukraine. It appears that our Congress, particularly our Senate, is stuck and can't seem to find its conscience and vote for voting rights reform or immigration reform. Seems like we haven't done enough to lift people out of poverty or create more justice and equity before the law. But in all those areas, everyday people like you and I are praying. We're staying true to our faith, but we're also working and acting and moving and organizing and doing everything we can in our power and our imagination to be the balance and to make the difference. And so This show is designed to salute you, even in these tough times, to bring you messages of encouragement and messages of support. And we have, I think, a very wonderful message of encouragement and support today, because I am really tickled about the folks who are going to come on this show next. As you know, I have a special and enduring concern for children, particularly children of the African diaspora. I've raised two Black children myself. Raising two Black children really has encouraged me to care about all children, but to care specifically about Black children, because I understand that the challenges that Black children faced then and are facing now are daunting. But we have two women on the show today who started an amazing organization, Akina. Akina is a Kiswahili word, and it means strong family or strong family bonds. And these two women are doing the work of creating strength in the family of the Black diaspora through the wonderment of an app that engages, educates, entertains, informs Black mothers and all those who care about Black children, or all those who care about Black mothers, not just here nationally, but around the world. They've had several launches. An official launch in October of 2021, but this will be their official Faith in Action launch, because I believe that this is an organization that over time Faith in Action will come to work very closely with, because I think our ideals and our determination to see the world better for Black children are very much the same. So with that as our introduction, and without further ado, let me bring to the Revolutionary Faith audience Lee Butler and Stephanie Roberts of Akina. Dear sisters, welcome to Revolutionary Faith.
Thank you. Thank you for having us.
Thank you so much.
Well, yeah, so it's my pleasure and it's our treasure that you are joining us. So I try to do justice to Akina in terms of what you're about, but really the two women who can do the most justice are you two. And Lee, I understand you're the founder of Akina, and I'd love if you would introduce yourself, say a little bit about Akina to help my audience understand what you're doing, and then pitch it to Stephanie, and Stephanie will give you the same opportunity. But Lee, welcome to Revolutionary Faith. So glad you could join us.
Thank you so much. My name is Lee Butler, and I am the founder and CEO of Akina. Akina is an app that is available on the Apple App Store and on Google Play. And we are a social media, social impact platform that specifically speaks to the needs and challenges Black women face raising Black children in majority spaces. We are both fun and informative, and we'll talk a little bit about that later. But that's really the gist of what Akina does. We are purposely set up as a public benefit corporation, which obligates us to donate to organizations who are actually doing the work. So we have several partners that are doing fantastic work across this nation, and even an organization in Canada that is really impacting the lives of Black moms. And that's really our goal here, is to address those needs and make sure that moms have the resources that they're looking for, and also the connections that they're looking for, making new mom friends, learning new techniques for raising your kids. That's really what Akina is all about.
Lee, when I look over your shoulder behind you, I see on your TV screen Akina, and I think the logo for Akina.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
So tell us about how you chose that.
Well, we really wanted to encompass the idea of a village. We are founded in the spirit of it takes a village to raise a child. Anyone who has raised a child knows that to be absolutely true. And so we wanted to make sure that we were bringing in this idea of the village. And so we came up with Akina. We wanted to use a word that was of the African diaspora. We wanted to make sure that we were intentional about that. And Akina, as you stated before, it stands for strong family bonds. And that's really what we're trying to build with Akina, is strong family bonds, starting with the moms and trickling down to the children. So that's the long and short of why Akina, the name. And our logo is sort of the idea of the sun rising on the village. So we have built the quintessential village as a digital platform. How
That's a
cool is
very,
technology?
absolutely, yeah, a digital village, a worldwide village, as I understand, that's the hope and aspiration.
Yes.
Stephanie, we'd love to hear from you. So you work very closely with Lee and launching of this amazing app and building up of this digital worldwide village. So who are you and how did you come to this work?
Yeah, so my name is Stephanie Roberts, and Lee and I attended Hampton University together. And Lee was my big sister, if you will. I'm an only child, and she embraced me immediately at Hampton. And throughout the years, we have laughed together, cried together, celebrated together. We both have three children. And I watched Lee from afar. I live in the Midwest, and Lee is down south. And I watched Lee develop this platform and include our friend group really to get feedback on our experience being mothers, being parents, and parents of Black children. And within, I don't know, Leah's been working on this for so long. Within about a year, Leah and I were having a conversation one day, and I was just so touched that she thought of me to include me among her group of advisors. And so that is my involvement. I really see that my role is in developing some strategic partnerships and helping with community engagement within the app. And very just excited about it because I watched the community grow. I watched the content develop and really speak to my personal needs. Meeting people in my region, meeting people in other cities, even if I travel, meeting other moms, safe places to connect, um, yoga classes online, just access to resources we may not normally have access to and information to. So I think it's just a profound app and just very excited to be a part of it.
You know, listening to you, Stephanie, particularly when you shared that you have three children and how, through this app and through this work, you're able to not only reach out and connect Black mothers, but offer support and guidance and information and so forth. It just reminds me of when Mrs. Herring, my wife, and I have been married 40 years, and we were raising our children. I remember our oldest child, he had a fever, and we didn't actually know what to do about that. Right? We didn't know, we were living in rural Indiana. We didn't know who to call and how do you actually treat a fever in a little infant? And so we called my mom, who was a nurse, and she was really helpful. But listening to you both, it really struck me that raising children under any circumstance is challenging. But under the kind of circumstances that Black mothers are dealing with today, it would seem to me that this is remarkably harder or tougher. Would either one of you all speak to that? What do you know about Black mothers today in terms of what they have to deal with and the challenges of raising children today?
It is challenging. I'm raising three Black boys. They are 13, 12, and 3. And it's really all about advocacy, right? It's about having that information and having the resources available to know how to advocate for your child. A lot of times we're not listened to by doctors, um, school administrators, teachers. We know our children best, and a lot of times it's having to have these tough conversations with our kids. When they see what's going on in the world, they see the George Floyd murder play out on national television. These are conversations that we have to have with our kids that other people don't have to have, and we have to have them in a very real and constant way. It can't just be a one-off conversation. It's got to continue. And so, leaning on everyone else's experiences in having those conversations is what Akina is about. I have my own experiences. Stephanie has hers. We've got, over 1,000 moms on the app who all have a different experience. And so being able to kind of talk through these situations in a safe space with the understanding of what's already known, what's already understood. We don't have to explain the backstory. We don't have to temper our tone or our anger. We can say the things that need to be said, and in a community that already understands. So yeah, there's a lot of challenges raising Black children. There's a lot of challenges being a Black woman and having kids. We could start there with finding out you're pregnant, and then now you've got to choose a physician, and you've got to choose a physician that listens to you, and you've got to choose a hospital that is going to listen to you. And right now there's a large disparity in successful births of Black children and successful outcomes for the moms. So that's a fear, in and of itself. There's a lot of anxiety that comes along with that. And being able to kind of have those discussions, get that information from other moms who have been through it or are going through it. We also have experts that come on and talk to our moms about, questions that you should be asking your pediatrician, questions you should be asking your OBGYN, questions you should be asking your hospital administrators. What should you be looking for? All the way down to, pains that you should be aware of. When do you speak up, with your physician or with the hospital nurses? So we really want these moms to have this information so that when they're going through pregnancy, or when they're raising, teenagers, or when they're raising toddlers. I've got teenagers and toddlers. So there's a lot of transition, and there's a lot of anxiety around that in and of itself. So being able to kind of have those conversations with other moms has, for me, it's been life changing. Just leaning on other people's experiences. That's the idea of the village, is that we all come together and share and help one another out. We're all about empowerment.
I really appreciate the thoroughness of your answer, Lee, because I think in your answer, you revealed some of the extraordinary challenges that Black women face, Black mothers and Black children. You're absolutely right in terms of where do you begin this ministry, if you will, of care? It begins all the way back with the woman herself, right? With Black women and the challenges that Black women face. I read not too long ago and shared with our staff these staggering statistics about Black maternal death and infant mortality for Black women in the South, and that infant mortality in Alabama was as high as infant mortality in Haiti, which is extraordinary. But I also read, and I'd love for you all to speak to this. You kind of spoke to a little bit, Lee, but I'd love for you all to speak to this again. But I also read that the presence and involvement of a community of care for Black women, other women, mothers, extended family, and doulas, actually, the outcome for both mother and child were more favorable in that kind of context. That must have been part of why you started Akina, right?
Right. Support always leads to a better outcome, in my opinion. Having a good support system, having people to help you through, whether that's family or friends or a doula or a midwife, having a good physician that you trust, having that support system in and of itself through community is the backbone of any successful outcome, business wise, pregnancy wise, raising children wise, education wise. I can't think of a situation in which support does not yield a better outcome. That's my Stephanie. Would you agree with that?
I agree. I was just going back to one of our recent conversations with a member who is from the Bahamas, and she was just speaking about when she started having her children, a lot of the mothers around her didn't know much about breastfeeding. So she was really trying to look for a community of resources to learn more about breastfeeding, the benefits of breastfeeding, and you would be surprised within our community, it's not talked about
Mhm.
much. You don't have a lot of access to the information, and it's just not something that you even think about until you have your children. How am I going to feed this child? And in many ways too, you're saving money by breastfeeding as well. And so, it's pushed on our community though to go and spend money on formula.
Yeah.
And why? Instead of just like the other communities having the right information and the right tools. I didn't even realize that I could contact my insurance agency and get a free breast pump. A lot of mothers don't know that and have it delivered to your home. So I think that consolidating this information and putting it in one place is our goal, putting it within
Mhm.
reach, having it to be part of normal conversation, leaving nothing in a arena of taboo or anything like that. Everything is open and shared and discussed, and you shouldn't be afraid or ashamed or ignorant to a lot of the information that seems as though many people just have access to over us.
Mhm.
We want to stay with you for a second, Stephanie, because when I listen to you, I'm listening, I believe, to someone who has been successful in her professional life, raising three children, juggling all of that. You could be doing probably almost anything. But when your friend Lee Butler called and said, "Hey, I want you to come and help me with Akina," you responded yes. And so, what was that about? What is that about for you? Why do you find yourself today working along with Lee to create this amazing community for Black women?
Right. Well, I think it starts with that sisterhood, that bond. Lee and I are such good friends, and we've been friends for what, Lee, more than 20 years. I don't even know right now.
Long
Uh,
time.
Long time. But it begins with that sisterhood, and I think that that's a part of this community is that we've established something in person amongst ourselves and amongst our group of friends that we exchange information. We have a big text thread. Even yesterday, one of the friends posted the free link to the COVID tests, and it was like, "Oh, thanks, girl," because I didn't know where to get that, and I took that link and I put it on Akina, and we received so much engagement and people responding to, "Thank you, I didn't know where to get this either, I ordered mine's coming," which is what we want to see in Akina. But I believe in what Lee's doing because it is needed. I personally, and I guess selfishly, need this information too. My children are 4, 7, and now 11. My daughter turned 11 on Monday. And we need to know how to have conversations that they are coming across in school if someone calls them a name and it's racially related. Lee and I talk about that. We may take that conversation to Akina. What do you guys think about this?
Yeah.
Questions about their hair or what they eat or, tanning. Can you tan? uh, their beliefs, culture, just everything you can think of. What Lee has put together is information that I need, and I need access to other women through all walks of life. I mean, you have women who haven't even had children yet on the app who are looking to conceive soon. You have grandmothers on the app who just have that experience that they can share with us. You have the aunts, the cousins, the friends, everything that you can think of that can just provide information, advice, and feedback. And I think that that's what drives me to be supportive to Lee.
Oh, that's super. The value of friendship is, I think, often undervalued, particularly for men. And I really want to get into this piece. I hadn't intended to, but it's your fault, Stephanie. You said that one of the reasons why you're in this is because of sisterhood. Lee, I'm going to ask you to do something almost impossible, but I think it'd be really helpful for my audience. What is Black sisterhood like? I mean, what is it that you are experiencing that you want to invite other Black women to experience? What is that? Because I can see it in my own eyes. My wife and her sisters, her girlfriends, it's just amazing when they're together. For me, just sitting next to them, I catch some of the energy that they're creating in this amazing bond that they have. So what is this, and how is it helpful to have this sisterhood conjured, if you will, through the work of Akina?
Well, first, let me say everybody needs a friend like Stephanie. Everybody does. Everybody needs that person in their corner that
Wow.
is going to ride with them, be honest, sometimes brutally, and also a cheerleader. And Stephanie is that person. So look around your friendship group and try to find you a Stephanie. She's
Amen.
great.
All right.
But yes, to your point, I don't know where I would be without my friends. My friends they are my sisters. I have a sister. I have a biological sister. She's fantastic. She's younger than I am. She's doing great work as well. But having your chosen family, those are your friends. They're your chosen family. And as Stephanie stated, we have laughed together, we've cried together, we've grieved together, we've fought more times than we care to mention. But because we're sisters, we always come back together, right? We always it's just a moment in time where we may disagree, but we always come back. And so, having that as a cornerstone of my life um, has really driven what Akina is. I don't know that everybody is as lucky to have friends like Stephanie and some of our friendship group. We've been friends for over 20 years. Some of us have been friends, gosh, Sheena and I have been friends like almost 40 years. Like we've been friends since we were 9. So just and something keeps us together. There's a bond there that keeps us all together, that keeps us all connected, and sharing that with other women and bringing other women into that circle and into that fold, of support. Um, that's Akina. You're never alone. There's always someone in your corner. There's someone there to pat you on the back. There's someone there to say, hey, it might be a tough time today, but you've got this. You got it. Just keep going. Just keep pushing through. Um, just even coming up with this app and starting this whole process, having someone like Stephanie to tell me to keep going. Someone Stephanie introduced me to, her sister-in-law, mentioned to me, hey, Lee, you got to get off the fence. You just got to do this thing. And so, having people to kind of encourage you as you're going through whatever is happening in your life, whether that's, the journey of entrepreneurship, whether that's the journey of Black motherhood, the journey of, divorce, the journey of losing a parent or a spouse, or God forbid, a child, having people there to support you through those tough times, you know, that's what we're all about. But then also having someone there with you to celebrate the great times. It's not all one thing. So community and sisterhood and uplifting one another. So the saying goes, straightening one another's crowns. That's what we're all about. And I make it a point. Um, as Black women, we can be your best friend or we can be your worst enemy. But I make it a point when I see a Black woman anywhere in my vicinity at the grocery store, I always acknowledge. There's always the head nod. There's always the, hey, how are you? I always make it a point to give them a smile, right? Because everybody needs that. And that's what I think sisterhood is. We are all connected in one way or another. We're connected in the African diaspora. We're connected, as having shared experiences, living in majority spaces. So, I mean, I just think there's so much that goes into being a woman, but being a Black woman in particular. Um, I wouldn't change it for anything. As challenging as it is, I would not want to be anything else.
It doesn't escape me, and probably won't escape the audience either, that when I asked you that question, you choked up.
Yeah.
Um, that this is really where your heart is. And, it's easy, I think, for people to support an organization when they know that the people who are running it have their heart and soul in it. So thank you. God bless you for kind of sharing that and really being vulnerable twice now. When you mentioned you're raising 3 boys, and now when I ask you to talk about, it's clear you both are very soulful sisters. And I think that's the other thing about this that is really very cool, is that, when you think about, I loved how you said sometimes we straighten each other's crown. When you think about what you love about Black women, and you think about creating kind of a global network of Black women, you just think about unleashing some amazing love-filled power onto the world. I actually believe that if we could conjure more of that power and release it, we probably have a more sane world, and I think probably less dangerous. I mean that honestly. I watched my wife raise these 2 boys, and I was always amazed at not just the love and the nurturance, but the amazing wisdom, patience, energy, strength, ferocity. And you see all of that in Black women. Stephanie, I'd love to ask you if you'd be so kind to share with the audience, because when I listen to you 2 talk, I'm hearing some very strong values, right? About family, about love, about doing right in the world. And this is revolutionary faith. And so I'm really given to ask you, does faith play a role in any of this for you? And if it does, I'd love for you to share that with the audience.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Definitely from childhood through marriage, through children, just to the person I am now, faith has been my cornerstone, and strength. I wouldn't call it, and I think that's what other women can relate to too, about being religious, but knowing that there's a higher power watching over me and guiding me and guiding what I do, um, and being a presence, never feeling alone. Whenever you think you're alone, you think about it and you're never alone, because whatever it is that being that you answer to, mine is the Lord, but whatever you answer to, you feel it. You feel when you sit still with yourself and pray, or just have time to be still and think. You feel that there is a presence helping you, guiding you, and communicating to you and through you in so many ways, and even through your children, uh, the way that the lessons that they teach us,
Mm.
through my friendships. I may be going through something, and I think I kind of think of my friends as a toolbox. And so like, well, okay, I'm going through this. Let me call Lee. Going through this. Let me call Jill. So I think of all of my friends as my resources. Um, and I think that that's deeply guided by my faith. My faith has guided me in my marriage with my husband. And it's a big transition to go from being an only child,
Yeah.
having your own room. Even in college, I had my own apartment. And then you go and you live with the man, and you have to share a bathroom and a sink. and, and a
And that's a
closet.
whole other story, right?
A whole other story. But that's faith. That got me through. That got me
Mrs. Harry would say amen to that, trust me.
right. But I think that the way that I've watched the women communicate and respond to this work that Lee is doing, there's faith in there.
Yeah.
It's that coming back to that sisterhood. It's someone reaching out their hand to you. Lee gives us an affirmation every day,
Hmm.
um, a mantra every day, and it's a lot of times just right on time. You might have a thought, and boom, there it is. And you're like, oh, that's exactly what I needed to hear today.
Yeah.
Um, and it helps to keep you grounded in that faith and not waver from it. So I hope I've answered your question, but it's 100% in every single thing that I do. I have to pray on it first before I make my next move.
Yeah. Wow. That's such a helpful answer, because I think people today are really struggling with, how do I understand God or the divine or higher power, and what's it got to do with me, and what's it got to do with the things that I'm facing? And many of us, particularly Black folk, we know about the Black church. Even no matter how fortunate we've been in our lives, the mother root of Black faith still runs through every Black family, I believe. And yet we're called, I think, in this moment to represent that faith very differently than perhaps our mothers and fathers or our grandparents have had. Lee, what's your thinking about that?
You know, faith guides everything I do. From deciding what college I was going to go to selecting my friends, to selecting who I was going to date, to selecting my husband, you know, how I raise my children, it's all on faith. Um, and you said something a minute ago. Um, we don't know. We don't having all the answers is not what faith is. Faith
Ah,
is
come on.
faith is believing, even though you don't know for a fact, right? Even though you can't see, it's believing and knowing and trusting. That's what faith is.
Lee, you hear
Faith,
that organ music? You hear that organ play?
listen, I believe it in my soul. I do not
Amen.
believe that God makes mistakes. I
Mm,
do not believe that anything that I've gone through in my life, the tough times, the wonderful times, you know, it's all happened for a reason. Any mistakes, quote unquote, and I use my air quotes, any mistakes that I've made have not been mistakes. They've not been failures. They've been lessons. And um, and knowing that God had a path for me. So it's supposed to happen. This is just the way, I had to learn from this in order to get to this next,
come on
season or
now.
stage in my life. So, so for me, even stepping out and doing this thing, this Akina app, and trying to make this community work, that is an act of faith in and of itself. I didn't think I could do it. I didn't. I ran away from this calling for 2 years,
Mm,
and felt that it was too big. And I remember the day I looked at my husband. We were picking the children up from school. I looked at my husband and I said, "I'm running from God. That's what I'm doing." And he's keeping this on my heart because he wants me to do this. So even though it feels too big for me, God is saying, "I got you. It's not too big for you. I'm keeping this on your heart. You're going to do this. This is what you're supposed to do." And my husband said, "We're going to drop everything and we're going to do it."
mm.
So I have to give my husband his flowers. He is my business partner. He is my best friend. He is my my guidance. He's my rock.
Mm.
And I don't believe I'd be able to do this without him. So he watches the children, when I have interviews, and he's really guided, every step of this process with me. So I just have to give him his roses.
Well, maybe for another show, we'll have you come back and we'll have you all lift up and shout about the goodness of a good Black man. But I'll tell you this, Lee Butler and Stephanie Roberts, you two have given a first-rate testimony. I could hear the tambourines playing and the organ playing behind what you all just said. It is remarkable, I think, in days like this, to have people so clear and so confident, but so familiar with God in their faith. You know, one of the things that you're going to give me to preach here for a second, so I'm only going to be a second, but one of the things I've been telling folks and trying to help people understand about faith is that where you are now should not be where you started from. In other words, faith is supposed to grow like a flame, like a fire. It's supposed to grow inside of you. And so what you have today, if you remain faithful, should be more than what you had when you started. And if it's not, then you're doing it wrong. And for a lot of folk who are going through all the motions of faith without actually doing the deep work of faith, and what you both said in your testimony, I'm going to call it a testimony, was that faith is gained through trial, through things having kind of going not necessarily the way you intended, or they grow through the trial of taking on something new, though you may not be confident that it can actually come to fruition. Or the kind of trial that comes with, I'm an only child, but I'm going to try to grow my spirit so I can love more people and let more people in my life. Like, that's how faith grows. But there's nothing like stepping out on a new venture, something that you don't know for sure you can do. Something, in fact, you probably hear whispers in the back of your mind saying you probably can't do that, or it won't manifest in the way. That's when you really are kind of one-on-one with God. It's like, sometimes folk have the kind of faith where God's in a big arena with them. You got plenty of room to move around. You can amble around, and you can go in many different directions. But I think the people that get things done, the everyday people that are doing revolutionary things, are those people who are in a phone booth with God. If you can still remember what a phone booth. I said this the other day to a young person, what's a phone booth? But those who can still remember a phone booth, it's when you're in that space with God. And you only get in that space when you're stepping into something that you're not completely certain you're going to be able to achieve. So to have you all speak to that kind of faith, just a blessing for us. I mean, I've seen you kind of tear up, Lee. Now, you can't see this, but I got a jacket on, but I got goosebumps because that's the message we're trying to encourage people to understand, Stephanie. Like, that's what faith looks like. Now, to have that come through the voice and the lived experience of Black women, to me, that's a testimony that you can actually do something good with. They can really strengthen you and encourage you. And I'm going to tell you this, folks are going to watch this show. They're going to be encouraged because of not only what you've just said, they're going to be encouraged by everything you've said, but specifically about how you understand faith. So please indulge me in getting excited about it, because you're explaining exactly what is so hard these days to explain. And not just in your words, but you can see it in your face. I mean, Stephanie, come on. You're a mother of three. What fortunate children. You have such a kind face, and you speak with such a loving way. I know every moment of raising children isn't that way, but if that's your root, if that's who you are on the inside, then you probably have more moments like that than not.
Yes.
You two, I could talk to you all forever, but I've got to be careful with the time. There's so many more things that I need to ask you. I may need to have you come back. But let me ask you this. Maybe start with you, Stephanie. So you're creating this digital community. Black women have a chance to kind of lean in, kind of come around the fire together with one another, or come into the kitchen with each other, right? Also the boardroom, so I ain't tripping. But so Black women have a chance to be with each other. Like, what's the thing that you want women to do as a consequence of being connected to Akina? Like, what do you want to create through Akina?
I think impact is something that I would like to see come out of Akina, that we have a voice, that people turn to us to look to see what we think, how we feel, what our opinions are related to any subject matter that's affecting us nationally and globally. I'd like to see us affect the vote more. um, Affect, the way that our school systems are run and operated, um, police, uh, brutality, and things of that nature. I mean, there's so I could keep going down a line, but I I really want to see the impact that we have as a collective voice on any subject matter, and how can we actually impact it, not just by speaking up, but actually making a change. I want to see that, because you see, when you get this group of women together, it's not just about exchanging recipes and talking about your kids and how cute they are. We are also on here trying to figure out how to make this world better for our children and for the legacy of our grandchildren, and so on and so forth.
Well, Lee, I've known you a little bit now, and you're a very humble sister. But when you look at your resume, you're quite an accomplished young woman. And so I'm asking you kind of the same question that I asked Stephanie, but I'd like for you to even expound a little more in terms of when Akina rises to have its most powerful impact. What's the world that it will be creating for Black children and Black mothers?
Um, the best outcomes. We want the same outcomes as any parent wants for their kids. We want our children to have the same opportunity for those outcomes, just like any parent wants for their kids. We don't want to have to separate ourselves. We don't want to have to silo and talk over here. We want to be able to um, be a part of the global citizenry. We want our children to be global citizens. We want our kids to flourish. And that's what, unfortunately, or fortunately, which however you look at it, coming together in this way, in this time, it looks like Black women having a free and safe space to talk, to exchange information, to uplift one another, to advocate for ourselves and our children, to consume information, to hear from experts. I always have to make this distinction. Akina is not, we're not taking over anybody's lane. We're not trying to take over organizations. We're not trying to drive and do what everybody's doing, right? What we're trying to do is to create that campus. We want to create a hub where Black women organizations can come and share their collective resources with the community. I'm not a mom expert. My children will tell you that. I am figuring this out every day.
Amen.
Every day presents a new challenge, and being able to kind of talk through it with Stephanie and with my friends and even with my family, you know, that's needed right now. That's what we're looking to achieve. I hope for a day when, I don't have to have those separate conversations. You know, I look for a day where I don't have to have the talk with my sons. And if that day ever comes, I think that Akina will be one of the reasons, one of the myriad of reasons why that day came. We want the community to come together, and we know what Black women can do when we come together. We move mountains when we come together. We change elections when we come together. We change outcomes when we come together. And that's really what we're trying to accomplish with Akina.
Well, now you got me all teary.
And I'm going to clap.
That,
Yeah.
amen. Amen. You guys are just unbelievable. I've run out of superlatives. Just remarkable young women. Your power, the clarity of your vision, dedication to your children and everyone else's children, rooted in a deep concern for Black women, wanting to unleash the power of Black imagination on the world, because I do believe we have the imagination to heal the whole thing. Just amazing. Man, I'm looking at as I'm looking at you all on the screen, I'm also looking at the face of my producer, and I can just hear Darcy saying, "It's Darcy Roberts, everyone, who is the amazing producer of the show, who I can never get to come on camera." But I can just imagine Darcy saying, "Well, Reverend Alvin, you pretty much used all your time, and yet there's so much more I really want to talk with you all about. Would you all be so kind? Would you say yes to being invited back on the show maybe a little while from now and give us an update on how things are going?"
Absolutely.
Absolutely. We'd love to.
Okay. And I can see us working closely with Akina. I really can. I believe in what you're doing.
Thank you
You
so
have.
much.
I'm a believer. I think this is really, really a powerful idea whose time has come. I'll be praying for you mightily for your success. But I don't think that I don't think well, you need all the prayers, but I don't think my prayers are going to change the eventual outcome, because I do believe that God has got her hand on this, and I believe that you're anointed in this work. I really do. You got me speaking like an old preacher now. I'm just so tickled to have you all on this show. Before I give you a chance to say maybe the last few comments, I would like to ask you this, and I really would, because of time, going to need you to respond really quickly to it. But as you look across the country and around the world right now, who, in your estimation, needs to run and find Akina like right now and get into this community and find the help and support that Akina can offer? Who would that be, Lee?
Anybody who loves a Black child,
Hmm.
anybody, whether you're a grandma, a teacher, a caregiver, a guardian, a sister, a brother, a mom, a dad. Well, we're a community of women, so I have to say that. But if you love a Black child, then this is the community for you.
Amen. Stephanie?
Fully, I couldn't have said it any better. I
Hmm.
think that we want to make it clear that this community is to support those who are raising Black children, those who have an impact in the lives of Black children. So anyone can join, any woman can join in that regard, to help support one another with their knowledge. You don't have to be a mother. You're an honorary mother. You're an honorary auntie, even godmother, so on and so forth. But consider Akina as a part of your daily informational and community engagement resource.
Great. So, Lee, how do I, if I'm in that category or those categories that you just lifted up, how do I get involved with Akina?
You download the app. We are available on the Apple App Store and Google Play. The name of the app is Meet Akina, MEET AKINA, Meet Akina, on both platforms, and you just sign up. It's
Okay.
that simple.
All right. So I'm opening up my app, my
Mhm.
Apple App Store right now. This is live and and on camera. Meet Akina. It'd be helpful if I could spell correctly. There we go. Meet Akina. Oh, wow. There it is.
Yep.
Wow. All right. So it says get, double clicking on my iPhone, and it's going to download. It says Meet Akina, where Black moms meet.
Reverend
This,
Herring, please ask your wife to join.
Yes.
oh, I'm telling you, she is so going to join. And this is what it's looking like.
Yes. Mhm.
That's amazing. God bless you. Really, I'm so excited for you.
Well,
God bless you.
thank
And
you.
can folks reach you like on Twitter or Instagram, or tell us about those other avenues?
On Instagram and Facebook, we are at Meet Akina. On Instagram, I think it's meet_Akina.
Great. And as I'm looking at you, I'm also looking down at the app. These are amazing looking. This is amazing. Wow.
And
Yeah.
and I must say, we were intentional about making sure that all of our vendors are Black. So our CTO, the gentleman who built our app for us, he is a Black dad in California. He's
Well,
got
shout
two
him out.
sons.
Shout him out.
Uh, I can't say his name because
Okay.
he has a day job.
I got you.
But but
That's so Black of us, right? This is exactly why we need things like Akina.
Yes.
Amen. Okay.
But yeah, he built this. He built this for us, and he is 100% on our team, on our side. So his wife is on the app, and like I said, he's got two Black sons, one in college, one on the way. So yeah, we were intentional about our photographers Black. All of our photographers are Black. Our experts are Black. We wanted to make sure that anywhere we could, that we had people that look like us.
Well, let me say, Wakanda is fictional, but Akina is real. So,
Yes, I love that.
you're welcome to use that. Akina is real. Wow, you have really blessed us. And so to my audience, to the Revolutionary Faith audience, I want you to join me in thanking Lee Butler and Stephanie Roberts of Akina. We have been really fortunate to have these two sisters with us for the last 40 or so minutes. And if you are like me right now, you'd like to have another 40 or so minutes, but I want you to run out and download the app. And if you are a Black woman, join. If you love Black children, but maybe you're not a Black woman, spread the word and get people to join. I'm going to share this right away with Mrs. Herring, who expertly raised our two sons and probably could be a blessing. I remember this real quickly before we sign off. Our oldest son is 36 years old. And so 36 years ago, it was not that common that Black women were breastfeeding their children. And so when my wife made the decision to breastfeed her child, she looked around for resources familiar to her and couldn't find any. She ended up going to the La Leche League, which was really wonderful, but it wasn't like being with other Black women. And knowing that you all are fostering the kind of engagement, exchange of information that allows Black women in every way possible to know that they're not alone, and to be joined by other sisters on the journey, just really warms my heart. It is so revolutionary to do that. And so in that vein, dear brothers and sisters, in signing off, I want to thank you again for joining me and these amazing guests. First taping of the year. This may not be the first show you see in 2022, but this will be the first one we've taped in 2022. And as we say every session, that faith is revolutionary when it is guided by love. And when faith is guided by love, it changes everything. So until we meet again, keep the faith, power to the revolution.
We still asking for justice and that sounds absurd. Before you give a man a badge, check under his shirt.